Today I'm making the first video in a series of instructional videos that focus more on the what and why of game development as opposed to the how. For that reason, I'm not going to be delving very deeply into how to use Blender or Unity, so before you can put some of these methods into practice, you'll have to familiarize yourself with the concepts currently on screen. All that being said, today's video will be as quick of a demonstration as I humanly can on how to do some basic character modeling in Blender. So as you can see here, I'm starting with the basic start of every Blender file. I'm going to delete the camera and the light here, as we don't want those to import into Unity. And I'm starting off with a basic box. Now, to get started, I'm going to add a armature, a human meta rig, and this is going to be the basis for everything that we do with our character model. And it's not just a useful thing to make our model over top of. We're actually going to use the bones in the skeleton to animate our figure. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my box and center it up on the torso of this character and scale it down till it's roughly the size of the height of the shoulders to pelvis. And I'm going to make sure that we have it actually in line with our character. All right. So I'm going to do a little resizing here quickly to make sort of just the outline shape of a torso. There we go. We have effectively a human torso in a box here. So inside of our mesh, I'm going to make a ring cut down the center, and I'm going to remove the left-hand vertices, and I'm going to go out and add a mirror modifier on the x-axis so that everything that we do here is mirrored on the right side. I mean on the left side. That's because humans are bilateral, and it's going to make everything we do here look a lot better. We're not going to have any eccentricities on the left side. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a difference in size here between the shoulders and the hips. So now we've got a little bit closer shape to what we're going for. First thing I'm going to do to get even more refinement is I'm going to make a ring cut along each segment of the spine here. And you see I'm aligning these lines with the points of this in the spine here. And I'm going to take and bring in the shoulders a little bit. And I'm going to flare out the hips just a little bit and bring the bottom two segments in, making some hip action. See what we're doing here? Okay. And then I'm going to, so that's all on the front side. I'm going to start working on the right side at this point. So I'm going to start with a double ring cut on the right side. Now this shape right here is going to eventually become our arm. So I want that to, that's why I did the double ring cut here instead of the single. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is make a similar double ring cut along the breast. And we're going to bring out, let's make one more here, right there, to bring out our chest. We'll select these vertices here, bring them out a little bit. So we've got a really shitty looking chest. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back to bring out like kind of a shoulder blade. Okay, so we've got sort of pecs and shoulder blade a little bit right there. Now, however much definition that you want in your model you get that by adding more of these ring cuts and making it more defined to the thing that you're making. But I'm going to do this really quickly today, so we're not going to add too much detail. And the end result is going to look like we didn't add much detail. But that's fine, because as I said, this is a quick demonstration. So we're going to take the corners and bring them in because we don't want this thing to look super boxy. Okay, now we're getting a little bit more of a human shape along the sides here, but we're still really flat along the tops and bottoms. So let's bring these vertices up a little bit to give a little definition to our neck, and we'll bring the outside ones down a little bit. So we've got a little bit of a trapezius muscle here, but don't even worry too much about anatomy of these things. Just focus on the whole product being smooth. Okay, so this is starting to look a little bit better. Let's work on the bottom here. We're going to make a double ring cut here to bring this guy's ass out a little bit. We'll just do this to make a little crack. Boop. There, he's got a little ass. We'll do the same thing here for the package. Boom. Nah, that's too much. That's ridiculous. Okay, and we'll leave that alone for now, but we'll come back to that. Oh, let's flare out the hips just a little bit. Flare out the hips. Just a little bit. Not that much. He's not that. You know, it's not a female figure. But even though it's not a female figure, we do need to bring in the waist just a little bit, I think. There we go. And this chest is a little wide too. All right, there we go. So this is sort of a good half-assed torso. Now let's start working on the extremities. So we'll take this panel here, as I said earlier, we're going to use that to make an arm. So I'm extruding from that vertex and lining it up with the bones, as you see here. And you want to do that from all angles. At all times, you want to be doing these things, you know, against like the entire skeleton, because this is in 3D. All right, so that makes our first arm, the upper arm. And so I like to do a little joint action here and not just straight extrude. You could just take this out and say that's the next bone, but I like having a little bit of extra vertices here so that it can bend at the elbow. We might even rotate that a little bit to reflect that it's an elbow bend. Okay, and so then we extrude out from there to make our lower arm. And gradually you want to taper the arm down as you go. We'll be adding muscle definition later. So we started off with that rectangular shape. We need to square this out a little bit as we go, especially when we get towards the wrist, because the wrist is going to be like rectangular in the opposite direction. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. We'll work on the hand in a little bit, but I want to add some muscle definition real quick. So we're going to do a double ring cut on the bicep, and with the bicep, it's pretty much right in the middle of the upper arm, so you can just leave it where it's at. We're going to scale that up a bit, make some big old arms for this guy. He's got the swoley ghost. Okay, that may be a little too big. Like looks like he's injected some synthol or something. We'll take this guy's muscle down a little bit. Boom. But we got a little bit, just a little bit of muscular definition here. Trying to make it just not look crazy. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing for the forearms. Double ring cut, but the forearm muscle is up a little bit on the arm, so you want to slide a little bit as you go. So we're going to have that upper forearm definition, but tapering at the wrist. Okay, so you see we've got a decent little body going here. So now let's work on, we'll come back to the hands last because that's the hardest part. Let's work on the legs. Okay, we're just going to select everything on the bottom, and this is where dividing this thing in half and doing the bilateral symmetry is really going to help you out, because you can just extrude from here and just take our legs down to the knee, and you can even separate them like that. Now the only problem is that they're shaped like a big D, or, you know, like, so you got to round these guys off. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take these 2 points here and scale those in. Maybe not that much. And then bring them in some. Now we got a more rounded leg, but the whole thing is a little bit rectangular. So we need to select all of these bottom vertices here and scale them in some, but you only want to do it on one on one axis, so that you get a more rounded result here at the knee. Now, the knee is even more important than the elbow to, you know, to like give it some extra vertices here, because, you know, it bends a lot. So I always do, you know, 3 extra sets of vertices. I'm just extruding and rotating there. So that gives us a little half-assed knee. And now we're going to extrude down to the ankle. And there we go. We're going to do the same action that we did with the arm, where we're going to add some muscular definition by doing 2 more ring cuts and making a thigh. And then we're going to do 2 more ring cuts here and do the same as we did with the forearm, because the calves and forearm is very similar. But we want to pull it, instead of it being just out in the middle of the thing here, we want to pull it back some because the front of the shin is flat. All right, so now coming from our ankle, we're going to go straight down into the foot. Now, what I like to do with the foot, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either extrude and rotate to where it comes out like that, you know. But the way I like to do it instead, which is cheaper but uglier, is to have the foot come straight down. And then we're going to take the front vertices of the foot and only select those, and then extrude outwards. I actually did that wrong. Hold on. I got too many vertices there. I just want these ones right in the front here. Extrude that out. Okay. So obviously that's a big Frankenstein club foot. So we're going to need to work with that scale-wise. Make it flatter. Make it, the width looks okay, but let's make some ring cuts in here to like make this a little less crazy looking. We want to take, let's take these vertices here. And what the hell, all of these too. And we're gonna rotate these and pull them down to where the foot's a little flatter, but I think we want to pull these up a little bit. There we go. So that's an okay foot. That it's workable. None of this is going to end up being great, but it'll be passable enough for your first character model. Oh, another thing I forgot here is on the arm, we need to make some ring cuts to make the arm a little more rounded, unless you want this boxy arm. Oh, I almost forgot a crucial step here. Let's not do that yet. Let's do the one on the top, because we're going to make the hand now. Now, to make the hand, we're going to need this wrist to extend out into 4 fingers. So you want to make a triple ring cut here, making 4 segments along the top of this hand. And when we extrude out, I mean on the top of the arm, and when we extrude out, we'll be able to make those into fingers. So we're going to take this little area here. I'm going to take all of these faces, and I'm going to extrude those out a little bit to make a wrist. Oh, and then I'm going to make a ring cut along the arm here. Just one, because these, oh, let's get the face selector on. These 4 faces here are going to be your fingers, and this is going to be your thumb. All right. So I'm going to take and extrude the whole thing again, but this time we're only going to take these 6 and extrude them out a little bit. We're making space for the thumb and the top of your palm, the back of your hand, and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to extrude these out a little, move those out a little bit. Okay, now for each finger, we're going to take one of these faces and extrude it out and keep it in line with the skeleton. And we're going to do that for every joint. It's very important that you keep this stuff in line with the skeleton, because in a minute, we're going to do something with the skeleton that's going to automatically join to all these bones. So the placement is super important. Just make sure that it works in all dimensions, just like everything else. Whoa! See, that one was slid over to the side a little bit, and now it's slid over even more. So we want to taper these a little bit to make fingertips. So we're going to do that for every finger. Tip. All right, now I've got some weird geometry happening here where I took 2 faces out. So you need to fiddle with that a little bit to make it look right. But this gonna, all in all, this thumb turned out not looking too great, but it'll work. It'll serve our purpose. So now we have hands and feet on both sides. Okay, so next we're gonna work on the head, and what we're gonna do is start again with a box. Get it centered on the head. And get it to roughly the size of our head. Maybe like make it the right height and width and all that. So now we got us a little blockhead, and that would serve our purposes if we wanted to just say that whole thing was the head. But we're going to work on some actual features and stuff here too. Okay, there we go. And we're going to get rid of the left half, add our modifier. There we go. And so we're going to start by lining out our features. So this is going to be the tip of our nose. This is going to be the top of our nose and the base of our eyes. This is going to be the top of our eyes and the base of our eyebrows. And then that's pretty much it to get started with it on the top half. So then on the bottom half, this is going to be the top of our mouth. This is going to be the bottom of our mouth. And we're going to take the tops and bottoms in a little bit to make this guy a bit rounded. And we're going to do the same things on the side. Oops, well, everything. Okay. So now we got a little bit better shape of a head. Now we're going to start with the nose. And, oh, I get this just right. Okay. We're going to make a double ring cut here. That's going to be like right centered on our eye. And we're going to have to edge slide this guy, though, to come over here. Same thing with this. Edge slide this over a little bit to make the shape of our eye and the shape of our nose. So this face right here is our nose. Now, depending on what kind of model you have, like say I had some kind of goblin, you might want to extrude this nose to make like, to make a big prominent nose. But on a normal human, you're not going to do that. The nose is merely going to be a suggestion of, of depth. And we're going to bring it out like that. Oh, I didn't do it exactly right. I need to do it from here. Rotate it out like that. Bring it out just a little bit. It's just going to be the suggestion of a shape. All right. Now our eyes are going to be this area here, right in front of the eyes, obviously, and we're going to want to extrude these a little bit and pull them in. And so that gives you a little bit of a depth, an eye socket, if you will, that you can add an eye into later, but for now it'll work for our eyes. And for the mouth, what we're going to do is, let's get back to our, for the mouth, what we're going to do is we're going to take, like say this is the middle of our mouth, this is our jaw, just like that. And we're going to take that whole face and we're going to extrude it inwards the same way we did the eye sockets. Now, this leaves an undesired couple of faces here that you have to delete. All right, but now we have sort of a little mouth hole. And the reason why we're making an actual physical mouth is because we're going to want to animate this thing potentially. So we want this thing to actually open where we can add teeth in here, do whatever. Actually, if it was a monster, we would like subdivide this up and make all of these little pieces right here come up into teeth. So we're just going to leave this alone for now. So now let's, oh, you know what? This whole head here is a little bit not round. So let's do the same thing we did with the body earlier and take this corner in. All right, that's much better. All right, now we got a little Pugsley Adam looking guy. Let's grab all these. If this seems difficult, it's because it is. Facial modeling is some of the hardest, modeling there is to do. Hands aren't easy, but faces are even harder. But we're just making something real simple here. Oh, well, let's get all these up a little bit. Boom. And let's do the same thing on the bottom. We're just rounding off our egg head here. Okay. Now this guy doesn't look great, obviously, but here let's do a little bit of detail. We'll pull the back of his head back a little bit, like. Okay, so we got a little flat face little guy here. Make his nose come out some more. Yeah, this is gonna have to do for now. All right, now is he in line with the skeleton? He is. The skeleton's a little hunched forward for my taste, but that's okay. All right, so now we have our crappy model done. So let's try to animate him. So we want to grab our model and our armature and see how the armature is more highlighted than the model is. That's what you want. So we want to hit Control P to do armature deform with automatic weights. All right, and we want to do the same thing with the head and the armature. All right. Now what that's done is there's a whole lot of work that you could do with finding like what the name of every one of these little bones are and assigning a vertex group in your model. But doing the Control P method means that it's already made all these vertex groups for you. So we're basically done now. What we can do is we can go into pose mode with this armature and we can check our work. See how when I move the skeleton, the mesh deforms with it? You might be thinking to yourself, how is that useful? Animation is the answer. If I wanted to use an animation pack in Unity right now, actually, you know what? That is what we're going to do. We are going to use an animation pack in Unity right now. So let's save this guy. And let's put him in a Unity project. Call him guy.blend. Okay. So it's importing my guy. Now, in Unity, this is super important. For animation, or I'm sorry, rig, yeah. We want this guy to be humanoid. I want to apply. And if we did everything correctly, his bones should automatically line up to the skeleton that we used in Blender. But we can make sure that the skeleton lined up the way we want it to by looking at it in this mode. Good. All this is green. That means that it automatically took all of the pieces of the skeleton and applied them to the humanoid rigging. So with that being done, we can take any animation that was done with humanoid rigging in mind and use it with this model now. Ha! So I'm going to hit done here. I'm going to go to the asset store. This is probably going to be the slowest part of this video. And here, and it comes with the two-hand sword. So we'll look at the two-hand sword idle animation. Don't do that. Here's the two-hand sword. Now they're using the character that they included with this free package. We're going to use our character instead. Let's go ahead and get our guy out there. Okay. Go back to the animations. And we're going to drag our guy and see what it looks like. So there is our guy looking like he's holding a sword. And see, I know he didn't look too impressive when we were having him in Blender, but doesn't he look kind of impressive now? I mean, this isn't bad for the amount of time that I've put into it. So I'm going to go ahead and make a basic character controller here, just a real simple one, just to get that animation out there. Animator controller. Yep. Guy. And we're just going to drag that animation that we just looked at out there. Two-hand sword idle. That's going to be the default animation. We're going to apply that to our dude. And let's get our camera centered up on this guy. Where is he? Okay. There we go. So the animation the model that we created in that really short video is now animated in Blender and ready for you to use. So if you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully try to do more tutorial videos like this.